Hey, Moneel.
Hey, Mike. Sorry, it was just my daughter was dancing in the background again. She loves that music. I need to download it and just put it.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. That's good
How
to
you
know.
doing? Oh, right. Listen, it's an important day today. It's Diwali, Festival of
Happy
Lights.
Diwali.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali. And we have still a Diwali special today for you. But for that, we actually need to introduce our guest for today, a guy who we met in Tallinn for the first time. So one of our Mind Valley family. Welcome, Juan Carlos from Amsterdam.
Yay!
Good evening. Hi, guys. Nice
Hey.
to see you again.
Good to see you.
Oh,
Nice to see you together.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And actually, I have a little exercise for you because you were listening that today is a special day for Moneel. Today it's Diwali. Do you know what Diwali is?
I just brought it down because I was going to ask you, could you please explain a little more?
Okay. Don't do that, Moneel, because I have a little exercise for you, and that will be now the best thing ever because I did something like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? So let's say it like that. I made a little quiz. Carlos can go first as our guest, and then you can join. And you are the quiz master. So let's see if you know everything about Diwali, Moneel, because I would feel exactly like
There is a spelling mistake, boss. It needs to be Diwali, Diwali.
Oh yeah, it is W, right? On the other ones, this is when you do something while talking to you already and preparing, because Moneel was asking me, "Are you coding? What are you doing?" I said, "Ah, yeah, I just have an idea." So I tried to put the quiz together, but okay, that's a spelling mistake. First question. So first question.
Wow.
What is Diwali also known for? Juan Carlos, is it the Festival of Lights? Is it the Festival of Colors, or is it the Festival of Flowers? What do you think?
It sounds like the Festival of Colors.
Okay, Moneel.
We do kind of have a festival of colors that happens in April, but that's full Hori. That's where you throw food coloring at each other. Diwali is actually the festival of lights.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, let's go to the second question. And then I hope I wrote it correct now. So, which goddess is especially worshipped during Diwali? Saraswati, Kali, or Lakshmi?
Theory. Somehow I have the name of Kali in my mind. I'm not sure if it might be the same god.
Moneel, what do you think? I mean, you're not allowed to do any mistake, right? You told me I have to celebrate Diwali tonight, so...
Can I phone up? No, listen, I will not tell anyone they have to celebrate anything. That is entirely of their own volition. But it is quite good fun because typically loads of fireworks go off where there's Indian people around. Lakshmi.
Whoa. Who? By the way, can I ask you who is Lakshmi? It's right, but I have no idea who that is. I mean...
So, I mean, I'll let you folks Google, but essentially, Diwali is the festival of lights. So Lakshmi is an incarnation of God. There is only one God, but we have different incarnations, which I probably can't do this very, very good justice, but they effectively represent different things for people. So prosperity and wealth is what it's said for. So after Diwali, you have New Year. During Diwali, you bless the house. If you have a business, you can do things like bless the books for the business to invite that prosperity in.
Okay.
But there's probably some believers out there that are much better explaining this than I, and probably ChatGPT as well. In fact, let's ask ChatGPT.
Maybe let's ask ChatGPT on that one. What do diyas represent? Wealth, victory of light over darkness, or love?
Right, so Diwali, also known as the Festival of Light, is a major Hindu festival celebrated to symbolize the triumph of light over darkness and good over evil.
Mhm. Okay, so we as
Nice.
the audience can learn something here. Victory of light over darkness. Great.
Fireworks. Right. So in Diwali, Lakshmi, the Hindu goddess of wealth, fortune, and prosperity, I invented a new word. See what I did there?
Mhm.
Plays a central role. It's believed that she visits homes on Diwali night, and people light lamps and create intricate designs called rangoli to welcome her, seeking her blessings for prosperity and well-being.
Okay. And do you know, apart from Hindus, which other two major Indian religions celebrate Diwali?
I can't see the screen.
So it's Buddhism and Christianity, Jainism and Sikhism, or Islam and Zoroastrianism. I have never heard some of those.
Yeah.
Answer is
Never.
B. Okay.
I think.
B, if it's correct. It is correct. Great. Okay.
Nice.
So, which is the common practice in homes and businesses during Diwali? I think you already mentioned that, so Juan Carlos should know now. Is it painting walls, lighting fireworks, or planting trees?
Oh. Well, for me, it would be planting a tree.
Okay.
I'll give you
You said
the
fireworks.
light. Therefore, which answer aligns with that?
How? The
It's a firework.
firework.
Exactly.
Much to learn.
So Diwali marks the return of which after 14 years of exile? Krishna, Rama, Shiva. No idea.
Yeah, this is where my knowledge goes a bit. Hans, is it Raman?
I don't know. Let's see if it's Rama. I have no idea, to be honest. It is Rama. Hey. Okay, so it's all good. And what type of clothing is typically worn during Diwali celebrations? Casual wear, new traditional clothes, or formal Western attire? What do you think?
Am I answering this, or is JC answering?
JC is answering this.
Traditional.
Traditional clothes. What are you saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to dress later when you leave the house?
No, you don't have to. I mean, I to be honest, my Diwali celebration, just because of stuff that's going on this year, has been very low key.
Okay.
But yeah, and you would go out for dinner, you would go to a gathering and dress.
The two last questions. What is traditionally done to homes and workplaces before Diwali? They are redecorated, they are cleaned, or they are left untouched?
Ew. Oh, I feel like there's something I should be doing that I'm not. But go on, Jesse, have a guess.
No. They are clean for new light.
No.
Yes, they are clean. You spoiled it a bit because you said I should do this. I haven't done it. Okay, final question. Diwali signifies the victory of what over what? Love over hate, good over evil, summer over winter. I would have guessed wrong. What do you think, Juan Carlos?
Love over good over evil.
Moneel?
I'll go with that. Yep.
Okay, that was our little quiz. So let's go back to a normal round. So now we have hopefully the audience a little bit educated and ourselves about Diwali.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali.
Love it.
Cool. Hey, let's come to our guest. Juan Carlos, do you want to introduce yourself to our audience and tell a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Hi, everyone. My name is Juan Carlos, born in Guayaquil. It's quite a big city, but in Ecuador. We're quite far away from where I was born. I'm originally now living in Amsterdam with my family. It has been quite an amazing ride, I would say. I moved from Ecuador when I was 17, and I came to Europe to live, create my whole life here. And somehow, even though I saw that I was going to go back, I stayed here. I just love the experience. I lived in Germany for a while, moved around, and I can say that every year it's an amazing opportunity to learn more, to learn amazing new people like you guys that I met this year. And now I would say that that's manifesting in every different aspect of my life, business-wise, professional-wise. Always be learning is something that I always like to keep repeating to myself. And that's something that I also try to apply everywhere.
And so is a return to Ecuador with your family. So you left a single man with the world at his feet and all the promise and all the energy in the universe. And now you are a family man. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you can hear my door. My door is very close with my wife. And even though, the sound of having my family around for some episodes that I even did in a few podcasts myself was a little bit overwhelming. It gave me a great lesson as well. It gave me the lesson that when you surround yourself with the things that you love, it doesn't matter what's the situation. It doesn't matter if it's bad or good. It doesn't matter if it's stress. The fact that they are around me, it's so calming. It's so empowering that I could do anything as long as I have my family around.
It's good.
It's beautiful.
If I may add something that we were talking about, like, coming to Ecuador, that was one of the things that relates a lot to what I'm doing now, as a purpose, let's say. Very short in this space of this year, there has been so many changes, so many discoveries, so many I would dare to say refining of what I see as a purpose in my life. And we were just talking about it a few weeks ago with a few coaches that we also know, that we all have in common as friends as well. And it came from the point of, how do we find purpose in life? For me, everything started by understanding, how do I define myself? How much do I know from myself? And a aha moment for me was when I started discovering what are the motivations that drives people, what drives me, and how can I also learn to understand what also blocks or what holds me back. So the moment that I started learning about, like, what are my motivations or what holds me back, I could learn about myself. And later on, I also was very curious to find out about the same, but from people that was around me, my wife, my kids, my family, my everyone. So I started finding even some tools that I could apply for that sense. It's found to a certain point that I was just even thinking about it today when I was running this morning about like, how would I define this if I will have to explain it really quick? And it brought me back to one of the most famous circles that people know in the startup community, the circle of Simon Sinek, the what, the how, and why. Well, I just wanted to define my own version of it by still using the same circle. So I came up to it. It's like, for me, it's about understanding what motivates us every day. Then understanding how do we hold ourselves back from those, to understand those motivations, and why this is important to know in order to be more efficient in the purpose that we are driving, that we're going for. How do I call that? For me, that's value hacking.
Value hacking. Cool. And that's also the foundation of your business, Inspiral Growth.
Yeah. The foundation, it's becoming even the foundation, the fundamentals of everything that I do in life. Inspiral Growth is a manifestation of this way of thinking. And Inspiral Growth, it's even, I consider it's an organism that is constantly evolving or adapting to the way how I perceive life.
Do you? It's beautiful that you just speak about also those that purpose in life and what is your purpose. I was yesterday in an amazing workshop, and I think the guy who gave the workshop, you might know, John Strzelecki, who wrote The Big Five for Life, or The Cafe at the End of the World. Do you know those books? If not, you need to read that. It's one of the coolest leaderships or management books that I've ever seen. Try to get it on Amazon. Big Five for Life. It's such a cool read. And Cafe at the End of the World, the same. It's not much, not many pages, but it's one of the coolest books because it's written like a normal story, and it has so much wisdom in there. And what he did with Big Five for Life is, which he also related to his own story. The Big Five. When you see the Big Five on an African safari, that means that you have seen those big 5 African animals. And then if you saw all 5 of them, the safari was a huge success. And he translates that picture into your life. So think about what are the 5 things that if you have achieved that or done that or experienced that, that would give you at the end of your life a value that you have, that your life was successful. So what would those 5 things be? And he helps you to develop that. So by asking a lot of questions to reflect, and where everybody can give it. And he actually comes up with a very nice visual, because he says, if your life, when your life ends and you look back at your life would be, should be described or created as a museum. And the more time you spend in a specific area, the bigger the room of that museum is. So how do you want that museum to look like? Do you want to have it like you spend 70% in a place where you're not happy? Right? So it's amazing. It raises so many beautiful questions, and can only highly recommend that to you. So I'm not paid for doing advertising for him, but I can just. And I was yesterday lucky to be in a workshop with him, and I just love that.
Wonderful. I just wrote it down. I'd love to pick some of those books for 2024, or as sooner as possible. If I may ask that one, thank you for sharing it. If I may ask you guys, which will be the top 3 books that made a strong impact in your lives?
It changes. See, for me, it depends on the season of life that you're in, right? And I think when we come back to, this is going to get really out there, right? But when we come back to the basics of it, everything is just energy. We're all energy, different resonance, operating at different frequencies. Everything is, right? And so I'm even starting to ask this question of, well, what is happiness, right? Happiness is just a perception, right? Like if I look at keep going back to my life situation, it's the only experience I have. If I look at my life situation in practical terms, it's potentially the worst it's ever been, right? Yet, I'm probably the happiest I've ever been. And so it's stepping outside of yourself, looking at a cinema screen, whatever you want to use, Silver Ultramind or whatever. There's various ways of cutting the same thing. So for me, books have been instrumental. I can tell you what I'm reading at the moment. What I'm reading at the moment is The Artist's Way on Audible. So in that, she talks about this idea of morning pages, right? Now, many of us will do a version of that, which is journaling or gratitude journaling or whatever. But what she says is, when you're writing, just write 3 pages. Doesn't matter how long it takes, but don't stop for less than 3 pages. And then just observe the changes. So that's been a good one. I think Get Some Headspace by Andy Puddicombe. That sat on my bookshelf for about 7 years, right? And that was a case of, when you're ready to receive, you will either get or you will pick things up. And I picked that book up, and that's kind of probably the precursor to coaching, to reversing my autoimmune disease, to everything. And all it is a book about mindfulness, right? And being present. So those are probably 2 that stick out for me. And then there's a bunch of podcasts. I would suppose probably another book is by the guy who does the Feel Better, Live More podcast. I think it's the 4 Pillars of Health or something. So that was the idea that we are holistic beings. So, you look at sleep, exercise, diet, stress management as a cornerstone. And probably those are 3 things. Kind of answered your question, kind of didn't.
No, but I think I totally agree with you, Moneel, because it depends on the life where you are in. And Juan Carlos, I don't know if you saw that I actually posted something similar a couple of weeks ago on LinkedIn, where I posted the 3 books that influenced me the most in my life. So it's not, let's say, the books that I would say these are the best books that I have ever read. But these were books that all of a sudden appeared during a specific moment in my life, and they had such a massive impact on me that they changed or that they influenced the direction that I took. So the first book was clearly in my 20s when I read Momentum by Holger Jung and Dominic van Matt. So Jung van Matt, it's one of the biggest agencies or most creative agencies in the world. And I read their book Momentum, which hasn't aged very well because it was much more about print and advertising, but it was still about creating a momentum. So I found it a couple of weeks ago again on the shelf when I had to clean up some stuff, and then I just thought, I looked through it and I thought, oh, this is it's nice, but it's not. It hasn't really aged pretty well on some of those things. I mean, probably every book that was written about Facebook 10 years ago or 15 years ago hasn't aged either, right? So the second book that influenced me the most was also during my work in marketing, especially in activating brands or bringing brands to life. And that book is called Bold, How to Be Brave in Business and Win by Sean Smith, I think, and Andy Milligan or something. Not sure on the name. Don't count on me. But the book is called Bold, How to Be Brave in Business and Win. that was definitely one that influenced me the most, because it had 10, 12 case studies in there about brands who found ways to emotionally connect with their customers without spending tons of money, but really creating memorable moments. So a momentum. So we're going back to Jung von Matt, that sticks with the audience. And the last book that influenced me probably now, with the big step that I did in February by leaving the corporate world, and building now the company that I just founded, is definitely John Strzelecki, Big Five for Life, because, and that makes me at the moment pretty proud. Even the company is still at the beginning, but it puts all the things that I love the most in my life together. And many people ask me, "Oh, why have you done that? Why have you done that?" It makes no sense. So you work, on one hand, you work in marketing, then you did your screenwriting career, you did some, you worked as a film producer, you did that stuff besides, then you started coaching, then also hypnotherapy. So how does that all go together? And then you work for an insurance company, right, in the marketing. So it doesn't really make sense. It made sense. It had to be exactly that at that moment in time, because without all those skills that I learned over the period of 20 times, I couldn't have founded the company that I had. So, and now I'm just bringing just all those things that I love together into one brand who is doing that.
Yeah. Wonderful.
You know what's really
So what's with you?
Well, first, indeed, thank you for sharing these books, because indeed, I consider that November now, it's a wonderful moment to start digging and setting the tracks of what is going to be the plan for 2024. I recently was hearing a podcast from James Clear from Atomic Habits, and he was talking about, like, okay, if you want to read faster, if you want to read more books, what can you do? What kind of habits can you create? So he was saying, like, start building small habits that you can do in less than 2 minutes, in order to start building up that kind of habit that you want to reach. I would love to read at least 1-2 books a month. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that Jim Quick or Bill Gates, they say that they read like four books per month. Who knows if that's really reachable or if they really do it? But in any case, what I'm testing is from the tip of James Clear. I'm really looking to read at least 2 to 5 minutes every day, no matter what. Yeah. And having the list of the books that I'm going to read is one of those habits, those plans that are helping me to create these healthy habits that I wish to have in my life. If I may add about the books that have helped me, that have inspired me so far, I love the words that you guys were saying, because it reflects to the words. There is one book called Delivering Happiness, which is from Tony Hsieh. The fact of what is really happening, like happiness, like Moneel was saying, indeed, it's a perception. It's even the sense of the meaning of happiness can change from the trio, from each person to the other one. So what it is for me, it started indeed by understanding myself, understanding what kind of being do I am, what kind of mind do I have. Today I was asking these questions with a couple of persons that I was this morning. I was like, I understood that the brain starts to be developed on the third week that we are created. Like the moment that the baby is created, on the third week the brain starts being created, and by the 7 years of age is when the brain is fully developed. Yeah. Let's say the fully mature. So the question this morning was like, is the body created for the brain, or is the brain part of the body?
Mm-hmm.
So what it makes us think this morning about it was that your thoughts control your brain, and your brain controls your body, and your body allows you to create these amazing things that we are around, like everything that it has made us who we are as a society, as a community, as a species so far. So those kind of questions were the questions that were always triggering me. And those questions were the ones that actually put me into searching for what kind of books I wanted to read before. And some books started to be all about habits. It's getting more and more clear to me that habits is really quite an important word in my vocabulary, in my life. And even the books that I experienced before, like The 7 Heights of Highly Effective People, OKRs, Measure What Matters. Those were kind of books that actually allowed me to understand what is important for me.
Yeah.
Now, if I would set in the sense of what we were mentioning before, value hacking, I think that we are all quite different. I wanted to understand how to communicate with others when we are all different. And there is something that I loved in the past 5 to 7 years, and was understanding the importance of having mental models.
Mm-hmm.
We have mental models for investing. Charlie Munger made that word quite famous. We have mental models for understanding psychology and or areas of life. So I was looking for a mental model that I could use to understand what drives people.
Yeah.
And that's something that I found that it's called spiral dynamics. It's called drive management. And I loved it from that moment. And thank you to you guys. Thank you because I've been following Bald and Bold since the first episode. I was able to understand also some very interesting points from other perspectives, like when the podcast with Brent and the podcast with Daniel made me realize about new mental models that we can also use to start understanding the way what motivates us and the way how we perceive life.
Have you been at that biohacking conference in Amsterdam a month ago?
I was not in the city, sadly. That was the only thing that was sadly. I just came back that weekend, and it was because of there was the marathon of Amsterdam.
Okay.
I was lucky to do the half marathon, but I was not there for the half marathon. Maybe for next year, for sure.
And book me your couch.
Yeah, me too. I'll do Amsterdam half. Now listen, on that subject of the brain is there for the body. So I don't know how I feel about this, but someone shared a podcast with me by a guy called Kyle Cease. And it's an episode from, I think, 2022. I don't follow this guy, and it was mentioned to me. But he's, the headline of this episode is, if you have to think about it, it's a no. In other words, this comes back to the idea that you have a gut brain and you have a brain up here, right? And there's a connection through the vagus nerve. So I don't think one controls the other. I think they both control each other. If you consider that your immune system is in your stomach, right, which is the thing that, protects you, fights disease and everything else, and then you introduce this idea of gut feeling, right? So when you're nervous, and you get that feeling in your stomach, and then it's firing, the cortisol or the adrenaline or whatever, which is, again, on the outside near the stomach, and then, connects up through to the brain. it'd be good for you guys to listen to that, because I don't know how I feel about him saying, you know, if you have to think about it, it's a no. I'm trying to get it, and I think I probably need to listen again. But that was just something interesting that you said, Juan Carlos. So I think that's the first thing that came to mind for me. The second thing that came to mind is something that you said, Mike, around when people say to you, why are you doing all these different things? And what does filmmaking have to do with working insurance, have to do with coaching, have to do with hypnotherapy? And I was having a conversation with someone a couple of days ago where I said, you know, when I was raised, the idea was be good at one thing and specialize in that one thing. And I think that is still quite a mainstream edict, right? Whereas for me, I wouldn't say I'm a jack of all trades, because jack of all trades seems to have quite a negative connotation in that you do lots of things, but you don't go to a sufficient level of detail. And again, what is sufficient? It's sufficient, you know, it's like beauty. It's a very subjective statement. For me, I'm not designed to do one thing. I'm designed to do lots of things, but not just at a surface level. I need to go maybe a layer or two down, and then once it starts getting deeper, then I need to hire or you know, bring in experts in those particular areas. Mm-hmm. So those are just two things in the last 5 minutes that you covered, which is quite funny, because I've had exposure to both of those in the past week. So I just wanted to share that with you and see how that lands.
This, you know, I completely feel connected to the different experiences that you mentioned, from the fact of that. I used to come from Ecuador, from this family that they completely fought their way into getting this status in life. My parents were extremely poor, and they created this whole clouds, if I would say, of safety around their children, because they just didn't want their children to have the same suffering that they did. So they were really all over success work, be good at one thing and be the best at it. But the more they got deeper into their lives, they started changing, and they started telling us those messages as well. To a moment that I remember how that went from being a kid and being always repetitive, said like, learn this and become the best at it. And then it went to a message just maybe 5 years later by the same persons. They were like, if you want to be let's say, if you want to be the director of the company, if you want to be the owner of the company, you need to learn even how the guy that cleans the office does it. So you need to learn everything. And to the fact where just a few years before my father died, over a decade before, one of his last advices was, Juan, the earlier you start to make mistakes, the better. If I had started when you were at your age, I would be a multimillionaire now. And the second was that he said by then, actually, like, you are not supposed to do anything. You are supposed to organize. Mm-hmm. So, you know, actually, with things that we were touching, I just wanted to share with you a very personal perspective on how that
beautiful
was seen through my life.
Can actually relate to that.
Is that same person who was telling you to do one thing has grown themselves and is telling you something slightly different 5 years later. And I think that is a big trick that is missing from parenting of a certain generation. It's kind of very fixed mindset, but you were exposed to, okay, it was this, it's now this, right? And then it might be something else. So
I think this is really advanced of your father as well, because What I realize also at the moment with the interviews that I do, when I speak with people about how they want to be remembered or what are the lessons that they have in life, I realize that some of the things that come up on the table, that happens because I'm not part of the family. Because some of those things, they're very private, and you are not, depending on the generation, so this is what Moneel said, you're not used to show your vulnerabilities or mistakes to your kids, which is a big mistake. Show that, because it makes you not only more authentic, but on the other hand, it makes you more human. It builds a complete different connection, and it also helps children to speak open about, oh, here I have done a mistake, acknowledge that that was a mistake, or actually maybe not a mistake, but an opportunity to learn.
I think we can summarize that, with one thing, and, vulnerability, authenticity. Growth is only where failure is.
Yeah.
It's no more simple or complicated than that. And it's taken me 40 odd years to learn that, right? But I'm so grateful that before I went to my grave that I learned that. And, there's no bigger advocate of that than someone like Gary Vaynerchuk, right? He has these conferences and people are like, in my 20s, I don't know whether I should do this. And he's, in his very Gary Vaynerchuk style, is just like, just fucking do it. You've got another 70 years on the planet. Like, why does it matter? Just do it. Learn. Fail. Do something else. The worst thing you can do is stay still. Now, clearly at different stages of life, once you're approaching 50 and you've got young kids and whatever else, that is, the way that manifests is different, but the principle is still the same. You might just need to, I don't know, stay in a job before you try some other shit or whatever. Yeah. Or have, 3 years worth of life savings. I don't know, like whatever works for different people. But, the growth is where the failure is. Mm-hmm. And if you, it's a good point of introspection, because I'm pretty sure there are people out there who are like, well, I don't fail. I don't like failing,
That's the culture. It's how we grew up. Also, let's say, look at all the baby boomers or generation X, what I am. You were taught that mistakes you need to try to avoid, right? It's not good, and it's absolutely what you say. This is when you learn. You would never learn something if you're not failing.
That's frail.
Every opportunity, yeah. And the other thing is, it's up to you. I mean, you are the one who is able to decide and to make a decision, right? So it's your decision, and it must be a conscious decision. And there is that nice quote from, you talked about books, Juan Carlos. From Dr. Seuss, all the places you'll go. I mean, he said in one of the book, and actually I have it here. Where he says, you have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, and you can steer yourself any direction you choose.
We're on recording.
No worries, I know it.
Sorry, I'm telling my 6-year-old off.
Let her dance. And I put the music on that she can dance.
Go and charge it somewhere, darling. Charge it there. Put your headphones on. I don't mind. Just turn it off, please. I'm doing work.
Oh, wonderful.
Right.
They're the best. They're the best. And kids are amazing. They bring us to the level of people that we are now.
I do say, I learned this from Marissa Peer, actually, on one of her meditations. I say to my kids now and then, I'm lucky to be your dad. That's a very powerful thing for any parent to say, because you're acknowledging that this isn't just one-way traffic where I give stuff to you because you're my child. It's about recognizing that you see them for the people that they are, that you're grateful that you have an opportunity to share life with them. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. He says, having just told his 6-year-old off for putting the TV on really loud and making her watch iPad. But, you know, double standards are allowed now and then by parents.
It's a wonderful experience. I think, I remember probably we all heard that sentence as they used to tell us, like, children, they come with a bread under their arm. My father used to say that, actually, like, oh, children, they come with a bread under their arm. And I was like, what do you mean with that? I never could ask him specifically and the reason of it. But once I got it there, and I completely understood it little by little. And it's the sense that children and well, in any case, if it's not children, it can be also your grandchildren, or it can be also someone actually in the family that you care so much. But it's a sense of that extra boost of energy that you get when you just do whatever it takes to make them safe, to give them what they need, to teach them. If in one say, I would say we are here now because we are eager to learn more, so we can be better for them.
And it's important that you give them room to do failures and to learn, because there's a thin line when you say you want to protect your child, but if you overprotect your child, you create exactly the opposite. Your child needs to fall. Your child needs to get up again, because otherwise it also needs to explore its boundaries, right? And find or create ways how to overcome them. But if you are there to just say, okay, I'll protect my child, I give you that, and then this is how to keep it safe, I don't know if I think that this is very supportive. You will probably create the opposite.
Yeah. So here I will give you a challenge to you guys from something that I heard a few times recently for a mentor that I follow. He was saying that of now that we're talking about this sense of overprotection that we might have, who are the people that probably are or might be holding you back the most? If you think about it, man. So what he was making us think about in a few meetings that we had with this mentor was that most of the times, if your own mom or your dad or your sister, that one that actually is always telling you, like, oh no, don't do that. Oh no, don't take that risk. Oh no, don't spend money like that. Oh no, don't invest in that. And it's just because of that fear, that love that they have for us, that they just want to protect us and have that safe, that sometimes are actually the biggest blockers in our growth.
Yeah.
So that was a tough one to hear.
Totally. We have now a new guest here. Moneel, just for your daughter.
What's your right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's not the one that loves the music. She's upstairs. So sorry.
Pity.
Sorry. But on that note, apologies for telling her off on the live stream. Kind of, when you're not expecting it, and then YouTube comes on. It's just like, wow.
All good.
That's to see people. Good and bad. Right, I think she's hungry, so I am.
Good.
That's being bold.
It is being.
And besides, we do it. We do everything unfiltered. You taught me that.
Yep.
It's authentic.
It's all
It can happen. It can happen.
Yep. She's now.
But then also, yeah, I mean, we are already quite ahead of time. You have your Diwali celebration. You need to feed your kids. Juan Carlos, what is your plan for tonight?
Well, first I would like to congratulate you guys for Bag and Wolves. I don't know. I've been learning a lot in the last weeks. I was given a tip even to my mother this morning, just of one of the things that I was listening from Daniel this morning, because we were talking about the eyes and the problems that older people might get. And before she was getting some bigger troubles, I was already telling her, like, hey, we need to get you a purpose so you don't forget that actually you matter the most for us. So thank you for that. In that sense as well, congratulations, Mike, for the new company. The story that I told you about my father, I think I have 2 emails from him. Thank God from Hotmail in that moment. But there was no books, there was no videos. So everything that actually like I had on 100 people in Ecuador, or maybe more even, they always talk about him when I come back to Ecuador. I will have to go back and maybe make an Echo movie.
Let's do this.
Eternal Echo, in order to tell, to have some notes from him. And he did. That's why congratulations on that, because if I had Eternal Echo maybe 15 years ago, I will have more from him. I will have a great story to see.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Cool. Hey,
so guys,
great evening.
It was a pleasure.
It was really a pleasure. It was cool. I'm still wondering, where are you sitting at the moment, Juan Carlos? It looks like either you are on the toilet to hide, or you are somewhere in the kitchen.
So this is exactly, we were talking about calmness, we were talking about objectives, finding purpose. One of the most relaxing places for me in my home is here where I wash dishes. Somehow I found out like 10 years ago is that washing dishes relaxes me. So I'm next to it.
So I've got a question here. When you say washing dishes, is it rinsing them and putting them in the dishwasher, or is it actually washing them?
The whole process.
Drying them.
I was washing dishes back in the university. That's when I found it out, and ever since then, as long as it's not much, I wash dishes to relax.
Hey, feel free to come to Switzerland. We have a lot of dishes here. Hold on. You can fly via Heathrow and also do some dishes in London. So be our guest.
Come into Luton. I'll pick you up. There's lots of dishes here.
By the way.
Hi. Hi, beautiful.
Do you want to hear good music? That's yeah. My kids are older. I think they don't want to jump now.
No, it was wonderful, guys. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. Have a nice evening. Have a good evening and happy Diwali. Yeah.
Wonderful time.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Ciao.